Hello, good people. I am so excited to bring you this interview with the amazing rapper, songwriter, globetrotter, my personal new fave, Jake Gatsby. Welcome,
Thank you,
welcome.
thank you.
Welcome. So I found you through Hip Hop in Chinatown, actually. I found your cipher. There was one cipher that you did. And I was like, oh my gosh, like, who is this? Like, what is this flow going on? And I think that's when I started following you. And then I started seeing more of your music and you were putting out new songs and things like that. So let's start at the beginning. Why the name Jake Gatsby? That's first off. And then who is Jake Gatsby, right? Who's the artist? What's going on with that?
So Jake Gatsby was, The Great Gatsby is my favorite fictional character of all time. Just because I think I'm like everybody loves the picture of him, you know, the persona of him. And when I was younger, yes, this one.
Yes.
And when I was younger, I was like, man, I love that. And then I read the story, and then I read it again and again and again. And I kind of think that I share a lot of his similar qualities in a lot of ways that are deeper than maybe those might be a therapy session, but I feel like I do share some of those qualities, and a hopeless romantic in a way, you know.
Are you a party boy? Is that sort of the vibe?
No, that's what I mean. Is like I love to make people to entertain. I love to be that person for people. Yeah. But the tragedy of it all is like it gets dark. It's a little dark, but good things. I feel like that's what drew me to. And then his name's Jay Gatsby, and I was like, oh, I'll be Jake Gatsby. I wrote a lot of songs that were more sad or like very emotional songs. I was like, oh man, that's who I am. That's me, and it's just been that way.
Yeah. And it kind of works because when I look up Jake Gatsby, a lot of times you get images of Jay Gatsby, so it's working in your favor. Like the search engines are working, it's going well. So how did you get started? Tell us a little bit about how you got into music. What was the inspiration? Have you always been into this, and it's just now you're putting out your own music? Like, what's going on with that? So
getting into music, I have like very long-winded because you think about this stuff a lot.
Yeah.
And I'm a student, so like I study questions.
Yes.
And I got into music. I was young. I was like 6 or 7, and I was writing a lot of songs. I actually started off as poems because I would write cards. We're all kids were making cards for our parents, and my mom raised me a single mother. Mm-hmm. So all the cards for Mother's Day, Father's Day, birthdays, Christmas, it's all stuff about my mom, thank yous. And you know how redundant cards can get.
Yeah.
And I'm like, man, I can only say I love you, thank you so much, so many ways. And for that reason, I was like, I started doing poems. I started writing different poems using imagery. And I was gravitated to the way that words looked on paper. And making them rhyme kind of helped me remain interested in like the stuff. Oh, another card.
Yeah.
And so that's when I started writing poetry, and then my brother introduced me to hip hop, to rap. I fell in love with like Tupac. I remember in 6th grade, I did a biography on Tupac, and I wore the front bandana to school. I wore it to school, talking about I'm gonna do the whole presentation with the thing on. I don't remember what happened. I might have blacked out because that's all I remember. And then so fell in love with hip hop, with rap, and then I remember I started recording songs on my mother's desktop Dell computer with the little comes with it microphone, and I was like beatboxing on it. I don't know how to beatbox. I was beatboxing, recording in like Audacity, which is if any music maker here knows Audacity.
Got it.
And I was doing that. I fell in love with it. It got a good response, and similar to Jay Gatsby, it's like when I got that response back to the stuff that I was truly feeling, I was like, oh man, it's over.
Yeah, so, when you get the response, you're just like, oh, okay, so we're on the right path. We're gonna keep doing it.
Okay, yeah. It's like, validation, because y'all don't realize I was crying writing this, right? Stuff like that.
Exactly. No, that's so great. So great. So you got started with that, and you really were sort of, in a lot of your interviews, you've talked about breaking down barriers and manifestation, right? And you've talked a lot about it in your music too, right? What are some of the barriers that you've sort of broken down thus far, and what are some of the ones that you're still working on? And then we'll sort of dip into the manifestation a little bit as well.
Being the main one that stands out is not being what people typically associate with rap, right? Whatever that is, I know that it don't look like this.
Yeah.
So that's one thing, and I think because of my, some of the, I have like a lot of confidence in a lot of ways. So I'm just like, oh, I thrive. I love that. I love it. I love being in the studio, and then people in the next room come in, and this has happened, and they're like, I heard the song, and I just didn't. You didn't look like that in my head, and I love that. So while that's not the most serious thing to have to overcome, it's something that kind of fuels you. Other than that, it's family and your family, as supportive as my mother is and my brother is, and my grandparents are, and the people who I look up to in my life, as supportive as they're also very logical, right? So things like go to engineering school, or do this, or everything's kind of tied to more things that are fiscally responsible and that create longevity for you financially. Things like that is what they want to do. They want you to do, and it's just a culture thing. It's how they do things there. So that's a barrier that is constant. Is definitely something that me and other people, I'm sure, who share similar cultures, or similar, for their family shares those same values. I'm sure everybody has to go through that at some point, some way. But things that I'm still fighting through, that's probably that's up there, is that battle between, man, you get the response, this is great, you think you are this person, and you can truly be great at this thing. Battling that with like, but you got to pay the bills. You do have to pay the bills, my friend. You know what I'm saying? That's a barrier but that's forever. That's forever. People think that music making is very lucrative. It is at a certain point, and that is, it's glorified that way for a reason, because the people who truly get there want to tell you about it. And nobody wants to, they don't want to sit here like this talking about pay the bills and just stay at the 9 to 5 and do you know what I mean? It's like, it's not pretty.
Yeah. No, and I think that's what we'll get to that in a little bit, because that's what I really appreciate about your lyrics, is that you really keep it sort of authentic. And you talked about how you're breaking down barriers and things like that. My major was literally called language as a tool to break down barriers, but like breaking down barriers as a Black woman, like speaking multiple languages, right? And so like that type of thing, right, where you don't look like what people expect you to look like, but you're breaking down the musical barriers and things like that, I think is really important. And I think it's part of what draws a lot of listeners to your music, right, is that you are not sugarcoating this. Like, you are literally like, this is the reality, and y'all are going to hear that, right?
Right. And I feel like I'm still learning to run toward that.
Yeah.
And I think we'll all be better off if we run toward those realities.
Yes. Yeah. Talk to us a little bit about sort of what you're manifesting right now, like what you're really like working towards with your music and breaking down barriers. Are you challenging yourself in your new music? Like, what are you going for with that?
Pre-pandemic, we had this master plan of 2020, right? 2019, I put out my debut EP. Loved the response. It was really my first big body of work that was a cohesive project that was front to back. It was, I felt like there was good variety in it. But 2020, we had this plan of doing singles, just blasting singles, one every month. And we were geared up for that. And in that, we had a sprinkling of performances and shows that we were gonna do, whether virtual or live. We had this smattering of, it was just a great plan in theory. Right. The pandemic hit, and then a lot of and social injustice became way more pronounced in the public eye. I hate it when people say like, "Oh, now that's a thing." No, that's not a thing now. Y'all know about it now.
Right. Right.
So because like all these things that take up brain power and your emotion and your heart make you really search for a sense of purpose, derailed this 2020 plan. So, man, Ella, we have a lot in the vault. I said that I was gonna send you some music.
I was waiting.
I'm guilty. I am always guilty of that. But it is a lot in the vault, and it's gonna sound like, oh, this is you. I'm excited for it. I'm recharging. I'm trying to take care of myself.
Yeah.
I'm mental, and that's what I'm working on. I'm working on a lot more singles, but they're piling up. So now I'm thinking, man, should I make you can't, what am I going to do? 12 singles out of nowhere?
Yeah.
Or just do 4, put 5 on a clip.
Right.
Drop it, promote it, drop it. And then you have still a bunch that are just one-offs that keep the attention. So a lot of things, though, that's what's being worked on now.
Yeah.
If you have a videographer, that that is what I am in deep search of.
I got a couple for you. I'll send them to you.
Send me those, because that is step 2. I need to get in front. I need people to see this reality. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Well, and you did that. You sort of did that with the Take Your Time EP, and that actually segues very nicely into my next portion, which was you talked about in the video that you have on Instagram. You talked about the behind the scenes of Take Your Time, right, and how you were building that album. And there were times you said it's crazy when you're on a journey and you're making a body of work and you're doing something, and at times it's therapy and at times it's just fun and all those different things, right? So talk to us a little bit about capturing the behind the scenes aspects of things so that you can really tell the full story of the work that you're putting out.
So you mean having the camera with you while you're doing these things?
Yeah.
It is the most surreal and hard to digest. It's hard to get used to that thing, because everybody wants to be this person. Whatever it is, it's not some one single. Everybody has this idea in their minds of the person that they want to be, and breaking that down is what I mean. Having a camera follow you around all the time, or for a lot of the time while you're making something like that, during the times where you're just in your feelings, because you're a human. You know what I'm saying? It's work, but it's like there's times where, like I said, we sit there and we're just like, okay, let's get out of here.
Yeah.
And there's other times where you're jolly, you're jumping around. I'm standing on the couch, I'm in the booth, we're dapping each other up, we're happy, we're set. So having a camera follow you around through all of those things is sobering, and it's reality. Especially when you look back at it, you're like, oh man, I thought I was this one way. I thought I was this, or I thought I was invincible. I thought when I'm in there, I act like this, or I look like this. But really, it really looks like this. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. And you talked about that a little bit in the video, because you talked about, there were parts where you were like, look, I've invited these people to the studio and I don't even want to talk to these people right now. There are those moments, right? Or there's moments where you're sad, but you got to record, and like all these different things. So I think that's really, it's an interesting aspect to your artistry as well, because it's something that people always want, right? We always want the behind the scenes. Like we're about to get into it, but I'm very interested in like the studio process and the songwriting process and all those different things, right? The nitty gritty. And you really only see that if you have a camera sort of following you around. So talk to us a little bit about the process. Are you a beat first songwriter? Are you a lyrics first songwriter? Does it depend on the situation? What's going on with that aspect?
So for me, it varies, right? I'm writing all the time. Like if I could show you the words that are in this thing, first of all,
hopefully in the cloud as well.
yeah. So if it's constant, right? So I'm on a flight, I'm listening to people talk, I'm thinking about stuff in my head. So I could come up with 2 lines, and then it turns into 4, and then it turns into 8. All of a sudden I have a whole song written with no production in mind. Or there's times where I'm like, ooh, what kind of mood am I in? I feel like writing a song. I don't have anything yet, but I feel like writing a song. This is the kind of mood I'm in. Let me start reaching out to some of the producers that I work with and say, hey, send me a little pack of beats. And then I'm finding that feeling, and then I'm writing that feeling down. Wow. So there's times where that, and then a producer that I'm working with a lot more now, his name's Jimmy. for the first time, I had this thing in my phone, and I said, "Hey, this is what I envision. I envision this," and this is what I said verbatim. I said, "I envision a very dark AA style feeling, a coming to Jesus, a church feeling song that's just vocals with some hall, right, some reverb, and those drums that accompany that. And this song is going to be a very real AA style, looking at yourself in the mirror type thing." And we sat there it was quick. It was like 30 minutes.
Wow.
And he took the drums, came up with, he was going through drum sounds. He's like, okay, this one, nah, this one, picks a drum, puts some effects on it. And I'm like, yeah, that's good. I like that. Then he starts doing a couple other things. Gets up, gets his bass, plugs it in, starts in a bass line through the song.
Right.
And then I'm like, oh man, and when I was writing this stuff, I was like, it takes you to a place. That's what I think good songwriters are able to take themselves to a place and just be, it doesn't matter where you are. If I need to do this right now and feel like this, I can put myself in that position and then write about it. And not that I'm a great songwriter, but that is what happened. In this time, it was 40 minutes, and we had this first draft done, and it's gonna be sobering. It's gonna be one of those ones that you put out, and you're like, oh boy, let's see how the response is to this one.
Well, and I think that's what I love about your body of work, right? I wrote out, so you have Take Your Time, No Names, Fantasy, Long Way, La Brea, Leveled Up, I Was There, Travelers, right? Each one not only telling a different story, but a different feel, right? Like the difference between Long Way and Leveled Up, which, by the way, I think I knew I was interviewing you today, so I woke up and like Leveled Up was like on my mind, like when I woke up, and like you wake up with a song in your head and you have to play it right away, otherwise it's just gonna stay like repeating in your head pretty much all day.
Thank you.
But yeah, I love how different each one is and how you challenge yourself. How do you continue to stay authentic to who you are and what you want to tell with that song in an industry that is going to constantly tell you that you should do this, you should act this way, that song should sound like this? How do you really maintain your core and stick to your guns sort of about these songs?
For me, I think that it'll be one, understanding that number one is that this is for me. That I'm doing this for me. I'm doing this for therapy. And that's the biggest thing. Because people think that therapy is only the dark things or the sad things or the bad things or the emotional things. No, therapy is the good stuff too. So understanding that all of these songs are going to be therapy for me is the only way that I think I'm gonna be able to stay true. When this other than it being, when it becomes a lot more fiscally dominant in my life, financially dominant in my life, then I'll be like, oh man, I can make this amount doing this, or I can just stay true to myself and do this thing. Then the conversation might change. But I think that staying grounded and understanding that, hey, don't forget, this is for you, Jake. This is something that you wanted, that you need. Because when I've been in this, Ella, I've been in this funk of, I call it a funk of writing about the same thing or something, or some specific thing, whether it's good or bad, too many times, because I felt like that's what I wanted to put out. I wasn't listening to what I needed to get out. You know what I'm saying? And then when I did that, I was like, oh, this is music.
Wow.
You know what I'm saying? So that's how I hope to stay true. That's how I have thus far. Yeah. Because, there was a time when it was all dark, all sad music.
Yeah.
Then once you get it out, and then it's less of that, and then you just get back into those ebbs and flows, and when it's down, you write about it. When it's up, you write about it.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. Wow. That is, I think having that much self-awareness is what's really rare in artists, right? And then that authenticity and that sort of vulnerability to be able to admit that is a very big part of your songwriting process. So thank you for sharing that, because I think that's a really important aspect of it. And I love that music making and all those things are catharsis for you, right? Like it's helping you work through a lot of different things. I think it helps, not only is it helping you, but it's also helping your listeners, right? And I think that's where you get that connection between artist and fan, and they're really like, oh my gosh, I can really relate to what they're going through. So talk to us about Take Your Time. Was 4 years ago now?
Take Your Time I wrote. I wrote the intro for it, 4 years ago.
Okay.
I held on to it for long enough to release last year in July.
Right. Okay.
All 5 of those songs were one body of work released in July, but that is the oldest one written 4 years ago.
Got it. So what's next, right? Like you told us a little bit, you gave us a little glimpse, right? But are we getting another example of Take Your Time? I know you talked about this song that sounds like it's going to be like Ultralight Beam meets Lonely meets like all those different things, right? I know you have the 12 singles, but like what can we really like longevity expect sort of from Jake Gatsby, the artist?
So I am, after a lot of these, because here's what happens. You have a lot of songs and some of them make sense to put in a project, some of them make sense to release individually. Whatever happens to these, those will be out of my mind by next March.
Okay.
They'll be out of my mind, out of my inbox, out of my drive by next March. And after that, I think we're gonna do a full album, like 10 songs, with a new sound, with a different sound, because I loved the feeling of having a producer and myself with a vision and molding that vision together. That felt great, and I want to try and do that. I mean, that would be excellent. So
I think that's
the plan. Yeah, that's the plan.
We want to hear.
Yeah. And then doing that is like, and then I'm working on now doing, I have something live that I'm doing, called live, that I'm doing recorded, in Chicago, inside of a venue or somewhere remote, that will be released. And then I'm doing a true live. I haven't signed it yet. I haven't agreed to it yet, but there will be something live that people can buy tickets for. Limited attendance, and it'll be two back-to-back sets of me. So it'll be like 45 minutes and then a break. I think the people will switch in and out, do a little switch, depending on if it sells out both sessions, or they'll stay and then I'll do something else for the second portion of the session. So that's coming. You're the first to know about that.
I'm the first, and everybody else.
Including me, because I'm not even sure. So that is coming once I say, let's do it. Let's pick this date.
Got it.
And then there will be another I'm calling it like program that we're trying to work on with an amazing Black-owned brand called The Pop-Up, which you've seen.
I've seen it.
That was I did an interview with them. I've done something live for them with the installment at the Hoxton Hotel.
Yes.
So always trying to get in tune with them over there. Yeah. Great people. So that I want you there for that.
Okay. All right. Just let me know. I will be there. We'll be ready. So you kind of segued into 2 parts for me. So two questions. Favorite part of performing, and because I know you miss it, and is there anyone, speaking of this like longer album, right, is there anyone that you would really like to work with?
Oh man.
2-part question.
Okay, first is, what do I miss most?
Yes, about performing.
So I think of moments when I'm performing, and I miss, there's this time in some of the songs, and like, I was there.
Yep.
When I've done it live already. I did it live before it came out. Right. So there's times, and I was there where it's really soul bearing.
Yep.
And I will be talking. There, like, my veins in my neck will be trying to explode, and I look, and like my favorite moment of performing is looking at people while I'm performing and seeing what they're feeling from what I'm saying. That I miss that, like, you wouldn't believe. It's that feeling of like, man, somebody feels it too.
Yeah.
Like it becomes a community. Like, okay, so That's something that I miss. I miss in every set I take a shot with the crowd.
Okay.
I miss that.
Yep.
I miss and I just honestly I just miss getting off stage, and I am an artist who like I get off stage and then I like to be amongst everyone.
Yeah.
Like I don't know, I love that feeling.
Yeah.
I love that feeling of community or something.
Love that.
And then to your second question, who dream collab or on this forthcoming thing?
I guess dream collab.
Okay. Okay, good.
Yeah.
Dream collab, Adele.
Really?
Adele.
Really? Okay. Yep. Tell us more.
Adele is way up there. Even though she is so highly acclaimed, I somehow still feel like she is underrated.
Yeah.
People don't realize what we have with Adele. That is my opinion. And then, I mean, we all want Drake.
Yeah.
We all want Drake. We all want Drake. I want J. Cole. I want Black. I want a singer though. Like I want a singer.
Yeah.
I have a song with a singer. She's in LA. I sent her the verse like a couple weeks ago. So maybe that'll hold me over for a little bit. But I want a singer.
I love that.
That's what I want.
Because you know what? Now that I think about it, not many of your tracks have a singer on them. There's like a lot of like sound and the production's really great and things like that, but no singer. So that would be
no singers. I need that high contrast to my voice.
Love that. Tell us anything you want to promote. What's going on?
All right. So
time to really.
So here we go. I'm saying it now.
Okay.
Today is October 29th.
Okay.
On Black Friday.
Okay.
I am putting out 2 songs.
Okay.
One of them, I'm thinking of all the songs that are in my drive, and I'm right now picking which songs I'm going to put out. So one will be called Handouts.
Okay.
That is definitely coming out.
Okay.
Black Friday.
Yep.
And then the second one will be called Who You.
This interview is coming out before Black Friday, so
I know.
At some point.
I know. So Who You and Handouts.
Okay.
And Ella, I'm gonna send you the draft of these right after we get offline.
Oh my god!
And then you need to tell me. And then you tell me.
Okay.
Maybe this because there's another one that's very I Was There-esque.
Okay. Yep.
That I can also send you if you think Jake, maybe that's not the direction we want to go. We're a team now.
I'll give you my honest feedback, but don't let me influence it too much. Like this is you. Like you are the artist. I trust your vision.
No.
Things like that.
So that's the plan. That is what I want to promote.
Love it.
Please listen to the body of work that I have out right now.
Yes.
It means the world to me.
Yes.
You'll be able to follow this path of growth.
I've already followed it thus far, and I love it. And I think everybody that watches this is going to love it. Everybody's going to be really interested in. I will put links below to all of Jake's music so far. Check out Travelers. That was a combo with Lil Isaac and all the way to Spain, right? Like we got Spanish and everything. We're really.
I've never met him.
Right. Yeah. You just recorded it.
Spain, we went to Spain, baby.
Right. Like we international at this point.
Yeah.
I can take you to Japan, Korea. I can get you over there. Like we can get going, right? So definitely I'll put those links below. Check out Jake, follow Jake's journey. Last question, and this one is related to food because you apparently make a very good breakfast sandwich. According to the what was it called? Quarantined Kitchen episode that you put on your Instagram,
the
right?
Pilot and finale, yes.
Yeah. The first and only episode.
Yes.
So what is the best breakfast sandwich? And I'm going to give you an option. I'm going to give you this or that.
Oh, man.
I'm going to give you like one that's not great, but then I'm going to give you good, right? So like Dunkin' Donuts breakfast sandwich, like a sausage croissant something or whatever. And
I am familiar.
And your sandwich.
Or mine? Dunkin' Donuts reached out to me for that recipe. So it's not close.
Okay.
It's
all right.
close.
I will definitely put a link to that. You all should go make that sandwich. It looks really good. I'm a breakfast fan, so I really appreciate it. Jake, thank you so much for your time. Thank you very much for speaking with me, and I can't wait for everyone to see this. And yeah, it was really great.
Yeah, talk soon.
Thank you.